Hey, it's Marley. Welcome back to my booktube channel. Today we're doing my August reading wrap-up. So we're going to talk about all the books that I read in the month of August. If you did not watch my last upload, which was my reading blog, be sure to watch that video first. There will be spoilers for that blog, so I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. Before we get into the individual book reviews, I'm just going to go over a quick little overview of my reading and the stats. So I did read 9 books this month, which is a little bit better than I typically do. Normally I read about 7 or 8 books. I stuck to my TBR pretty well. I just didn't read one book that was on my TBR, but I did read 2 different books instead. Pages read was 3,458. Hours listened was 0. My average reading was 4, which is a little higher than normal, which is nice. Normally it's like 3 point something. Books acquired was only 2, and I only marked 1 book as own voices, which is lower than usual. For genres, we were really all over the map. I did have 3 thrillers, so that was the most. It looks like 2 historical, 1 contemporary, 1 fantasy, 1 mystery, and then 1 romance. In terms of format, obviously I said 0 hours, so no audiobooks, but we had 6 physical books and then 3 ebooks. In terms of the audience, 6 of the books I read were for adults, and still 3 were considered young adult. In terms of the author status to me, if I've read from them before, I read from 5 of the authors before, and then 4 of them were new to me, so a pretty even split. And then for the year published, again, it was a little bit all over. 2 were from this year, 2025, and 3 were from last year, 2024. 1 from 2021, 2 from 2019, and then 1 from 2018. So I think that's all we really need to go over. Now we can get into the book reviews, and I'm going to talk about these books as best as I can from my least favorite to my favorite. However, most of these books were rated the same, which was 4 stars, hence that being my average rating for the month. So I guess technically my least favorite book of the month would be Lisa Jewell's Don't Let Me In. I feel really bad saying that about Miss Jewell, as she's one of my favorite authors, but I did rate this book 3.5 stars. So this is her latest thriller book. And in terms of the plot, we're basically following these 2 different women and their experience with this same man who is like a scammer, liar. The one perspective is a woman and this man is her husband. They have a child together. And the other perspective is this younger woman who this man is actually dating her mom. And so she's pretty suspicious of this guy, and she's really the one that starts putting the pieces together. Maybe he's not who he says he is. There's a lot of, inconsistencies going on with his story. As always, I really enjoy Lisa's writing. I feel like you get really invested in the characters. She develops them very well. However, since this is considered a thriller, I do just want a little bit more twists from my thrillers. And this one was not totally twisty. Even the twists that we did have closer to the end, I found were pretty predictable. So I would probably only recommend this to people who are big Lisa Jewell fans and would read any of her books, or if you're a new thriller author. So maybe you wouldn't see everything coming. But it was a really frustrating read, because you're seeing this man just do all these awful things to the women, and it's just very frustrating to see him get away with it so many times. So yeah, this is the first book. The other book that I rated 3.5 stars this month was Jar of Hearts by Jennifer Hillier. This is another thriller. I've read 1 book from this author before and really liked it. This one is following a woman who is going to jail for 5 years because she assisted with a crime when she was a teenager. And so we're seeing a little bit of her experience in jail, and we're having flashbacks to the crime that she had helped commit with her ex-boyfriend, and seeing the dynamic that she had back then with this man and with her friend, and kind of seeing how this crime ended up happening. We're also hearing from a detective's point of view throughout the book, because some killings are starting to happen again. Seems like it might be related to that original crime and murder that happened all those years ago. I'm being a bit vague, don't want to give away too much. I really do like Jennifer Hillier's books and her writing style. I read this book in 1 day. I found it very, very addicting to read. Normally I probably would have given it 4 stars, stars, but I lowered the rating a little bit just because there's a lot of graphic, like on-page sexual violence. So definitely be aware of that. I think this book would not be for everyone, and it definitely left me pretty upset and disturbed at a lot of the scenes. So be aware of that if you're considering this book. But otherwise, I did enjoy it. I just can't really say like I loved this book when it had that kind of content, but it definitely got wild. It definitely was a crazy plot. So I am glad that I read it. And I definitely will read more from Jennifer Hillier as well. Next up, we have just a bunch of 4 stars, as I was saying. So I'll kind of try to put them in an order, still increasing in like how much I liked them. But we have The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this is the first book in a new series from her, but it is set in the same world as the Inheritance games. So if you're a fan of that series, you definitely want to check this out. Basically, the characters from the Inheritance games, which is Avery, the heir to the Hawthorne, I was gonna say throne, but no, it's like, what's the word? The estate, I guess. And then all of the Hawthorne brothers, they decide to host this competition every year that will have this really big prize with some of the money that they were left. Basically, these games are like a bunch of riddles and competitions reminiscent of what their grandfather used to do for them. So I enjoyed this. I was a little bit disappointed because I feel like it was all building up to kind of this climactic point in the competition, and then the book just ended. And of course, I knew that it was going to be a series, but the same thing happened in the first Inheritance game series, where the first book was just a little too much setup and not as much of a payoff. But I'm hoping the rest of the series will pay off. We're following a number of different characters that we have seen throughout the original series. So I would recommend reading the first series first. But yeah, if you just want like a fun time full of like riddles and mystery and teenage drama and teenage romance, then I would recommend this series. Next up, we have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. This is the first book I've read from this author, and this was always a 5-star prediction for me. I just really liked the vibes of the story and what I heard about it. Clearly, I've rated it 4 stars though, so I still really liked it, but it did disappoint me a little bit. We're following our main character Elizabeth, and she's an orphan, and she grew up in this library, but it's like a magical library where they're actually like guarding these books, which they call grimoires because they're like magical books. And if any of the books get destroyed, they turn into these like demon monsters. So one night, Elizabeth wakes up and she sees that like the most dangerous grimoire has somehow been damaged, I guess, because it has become this monster. So she ends up killing it, but she becomes the like #1 suspect of who did this and who unleashed it, because she was like the only one around. So she ends up getting the help of this sorcerer named Nathaniel Thorne, and they kind of have to figure out what is going on. It's a bunch of different crimes happening in all the different libraries, and she's trying to like clear her name and figure out what's going on. The relationship is obviously between her and Nathaniel, and they had a lot of potential. They had a lot of good chemistry, a bit of banter, but then they just kind of lost it. Like, not enough time was spent on the romance for me. And of course, this is not like a romance first. This is more like a fantasy first, but I still think the romance needed a little bit more development, and I think more development went to certain characters like Silas, who is a demon in this book, because sorcerers basically get their magic by creating deals with demons who kind of like work for them. So Silas was a really interesting character, but I just wish more of that development could have gone into the character of Nathaniel, as he was the love interest. So that was my major issue. Otherwise, I really love the vibes of this. The libraries, magic, demons. It definitely seemed to be reminiscent of Beauty and the Beast, with kind of the old mansion, the thorns, the roses, other things. So if you like the sound of that, I still would recommend this book as well. Next up, we have Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. This is an adult contemporary romance book. It was actually the first book I read this month, so it was a little while ago now. We're following these 2 characters, and let me refresh myself on their name, Shiloh and Carrie. And basically they grew up being best friends in high school. They really had this will they won't they thing going on, and now we just know that it's years later. I think they're in their 30s. Shiloh has already been married, divorced, and had kids, and they go to this wedding for one of their friends from high school, and they're finally seeing each other again, and they have this dance and they start reconnecting. And so throughout the whole book, you're seeing flashbacks to that relationship that they had when they were younger, and then you're also seeing current day as they're trying to make things work again. There's a lot of things kind of standing in their way, like their jobs, long distance. I mean, the fact that Shiloh has kids, their lives are in very different places. So this is a romance I would recommend for people who you're not looking for any of the crazy gimmicks. There's no like fake dating, crazy tropes, marriage of convenience, like nothing too gimmicky like that. It's literally just about these two people and their relationship and their friendship, and you just get to know them very well. So I really appreciated that about this book. I really enjoyed it, and it was definitely a high 4-star for me. Back to another thriller, I read Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This is the first book I've read from this author, and I really enjoyed this thriller and will definitely be reading more from her. Unfortunately, I think this is her most popular book, so I don't know if I'll like any of her other ones more. But as you can expect from the title, this is about a neighborhood where a woman has recently gone missing, and then shortly after, another woman goes missing and her child. Now it's years later and this child has actually been found, and that sort of starts this series of events of figuring out what happened all of those years ago and finding out kind of where this girl has been and the different drama, different things that have been going on with these characters in the neighborhood. So very domestic drama or domestic thriller, but I just found it so addicting to read. Read it in like a day. I do just wish the ending could have had a little bit more twists. That's something I'm finding a lot. Like, I'm just wanting more twists at the very end of a book. Kind of those last minute twists that you don't expect. I also feel like not all of the red herrings that were set up were fully fleshed out. Something like a Holly Jackson book. She'll have so many different red herrings and they all do end up connecting and you end up getting answers. But this one, I feel like she was setting up a lot of different potential things that could have happened and we didn't really get to flesh all of them out. Still really enjoyed this. Next up is The Wedding People by Alison. I keep forgetting her last name. Espach. This is a really popular book and I see why it was so good. This is about a woman who actually wants to kill herself. She's having a really hard time. She's recently been divorced. She's really unhappy. And so she goes to this hotel. The hotel has been taken over by this wedding that's going on. It was actually a mistake that the hotel let her book a room because it was booked out for the wedding. So now she's at this hotel, resort, whatever, full of these wedding people. And she ends up meeting the bride and having this connection with the bride that she did not expect. Kind of realizing that maybe she doesn't actually want to go through with what she originally went there for. And you're seeing her build these nice relationships and friendships with the bride, with other people involved in the wedding. There is a romance in it. And honestly, it was very funny, despite there being this darkness to, you know, the reason that this woman originally went to the hotel. It's a very humorous book. It reminded me of British humor. I had to kind of remind myself, no, this doesn't take place in England, like it's an American book. That was just kind of the vibe of it. And so I really had a good time. It's definitely heartwarming and a pick-me-up. A good vacation read probably. So yeah, I'm really happy with this book as well. Then I also read Lovely War by Julie Berry. This has been on my TBR for a really long time. I'm glad I finally read it. I feel like I was so scared by like the length of it. It looks so thick, but it actually reads really quickly. I didn't realize it was a young adult book actually, which is probably why it's so consumable. But this is about Aphrodite, the goddess of love. She's having an affair with Ares and her husband Hephaestus finds them, kind of puts them on trial, and Aphrodite ends up telling them stories about these really epic kind of love stories that happened during World War I. So it's part kind of mythology, but mainly it is like a historical book, a historical romance. So we're following Hazel and James, and they meet right before James has to go off to the war. So we're seeing their love story, and we're also seeing Aubrey and Colette a little later in the book. Aubrey is a black man in World War I, and so we're really diving into that experience as well. I just love the way that the story was told, like the fact that it was from the god's perspective, looking down on these people. It was really beautiful. I just wish that the ending could have impacted me a little more, had a little bit more of a punch to it. I don't know if it's because it's YA, like it couldn't really go too far, but I still really liked it. If it's been on your radar, like I definitely recommend it. Even if you're not a huge historical person, typically, like I'm normally not, but it's not boring. It's very easy to read. I actually was reading it very quickly. So yeah, I'm glad that I finally got to this one. Oh, and I've considered reading this like 4 or 4.5. I actually maybe would say 4.5 stars. Then my favorite book of the month is another 4.5 star book. We just could not get that 5-star read this month. yeah, you can hear more about that in my last vlog, as I was saying. But we have Atmosphere by Jenkins Reid. Obviously, she's known for her historical fictions about different famous people, and I've given a lot of her books 5 stars. This one was so close, but probably not one of my favorites from her, but I still really loved it. We are following some female astronauts. In particular, the main girl is Joan. We're seeing current day, where she is actually the one that's on the ground while a bunch of her friends are up on this mission, and then something goes wrong. She's kind of in the position of trying to help them from the ground. Meanwhile, we're seeing, and most of the story is in flashbacks leading up to this mission, seeing when she first gets into NASA and is meeting these friends, the difficulty she deals with as a woman, one of the first women, I think, that is in NASA, also being a queer woman, it not being okay, like she cannot be out. So it deals with a lot of different things like that. Her family stuff, she has a niece that she's really close with. It was a really just beautiful book. I would recommend it for people who are into space. Again, maybe not a topic I would typically be drawn to, but Jenkins Reid did a really good job with this story. I don't know why, just at the end, I didn't fully feel like it could be 5 stars. Like maybe if the ending had a little bit more to it, it could have gotten there, but I did really enjoy the story. Our main romance, I thought they were really, really cute. So yeah, this is a great one. So that is my wrap up for the month. We had some heartwarming books. We had some really terrible, gruesome books. So a pretty good balance. Let me know how your August reading went. If you've read any of these books as well, please be sure to subscribe for more videos from me. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you soon in a new video very soon. Bye.